Hello, I'm Rafael Aguirre. I'm a Spanish guitarist. I was born in Malaga, in South Spain, in Andalusia, where the guitar exploded as an instrument and was created. And I've been playing already for 31 years. I lived in Germany, in London, in Spain, and now I'm based in Mexico City after having toured, I think, not the whole world, but already 47 countries, which is quite a lot.
Can you talk about your breakthrough moments in your career that led you to where you are today? I'm sure you have like a handful of moments where they were the pivotal moments that kind of kept you on the path to becoming a professional artist.
Yes, well, I have several breakthrough moments. I would say the first one was the first time I went into a competition when I was 14 years old, and people told me I had a sort of talent, because since then I didn't took myself very seriously for music. It was kind of like a hobby. I would say the second breakthrough moment was my first tour when I was 16. I did a tour with an youth orchestra, and then maybe the competition winnings in 2007 when I was 22. And then my first, in the classical music world, my debut at the Verbier Festival, I would say, in 2016. That are some of the really breakthrough moments, I would say.
Amazing. And how did those moments propel? I mean, obviously they did propel you forward, but could you break down a little bit what were kind of the consequences, the positive consequences from those moments?
Yes, well, from the going to these festivals and competition when I was a teenager, really, I didn't practice. I was not the sort of child practicing for 8 or 10 hours a day. I was just playing soccer, video games, and having a normal childhood. And when I saw that, I thought, oh, maybe I should practice a little bit more, like a real concert player, concert pianist, concert guitarist, whatever. And then when I won the competitions, the breakthrough came through the first recordings I made for Naxos, for the Spanish radio and television label, and the possibility, suddenly I got people writing me from New Zealand, from Australia, from Japan. I have your CDs. And I was like, wow, you know maybe I'm getting a little bit famous, I don't know. And then the possibility to start touring around the world, my first concerts in the States, in all of Europe, in Latin America. And then the Festival of Verbier, really, because I had a live streaming on Medici TV, a lot of big orchestras and important people from the classical music world. I got after that my first big agency in London as well. It really opened a lot of doors.
Yeah, amazing. So it really was kind of getting on those platforms, if you will, on those stages, on the broadcasts, et cetera, that opened your world up to other people, and then it tumbled from there.
Exactly.
Yeah, beautiful. If you think about the musical influences that shaped your sound that you have today, obviously your sound has changed over the years. I'm assuming, but where you stand today, what musical influences have shaped that?
Well, I was pretty much influenced by all the famous classical guitarists from the 20th century, all the Spanish ones, Andres Segovia, Narciso Yepes, but also by the Australian John Williams, later on by the great flamenco guitarist Paco de Lucia. So I would say my sound, it's in between the classical sound and the flamenco sound, which is more brilliant, more suited for the folk music, the attack, for the rhythmical music. But I was pretty much influenced also by great pianists. I remember when I discovered Claudio Arrau, for instance, the Chilean pianist. His sound was for me like the most beautiful sound. And then Maria Joao Pires, also the Portuguese pianist. I thought how it is possible to get such a round sound, but at the same time that has this spirit that makes the music so alive and so balanced, in a way like the Greek gods or something like that. So I was pretty much influenced also by violinists like Anne-Sophie Mutter. I love her sound, and Itzhak Perlman as well.
Let's take a quick break. If you're a classical musician, you know that talent alone is not enough to be seen and heard in today's marketplace. You need visibility. Over the past 15 years, I've worked as a brand strategist in classical music, working with artists and organizations, building that visibility for them. I've helped artists win Grammy Awards and nominations, such as Jesse Montgomery and the Miró Quartet, and I've helped Yoon Chan Lim achieve global stardom through my work at the Cliburn. If you're a classical musician looking for that visibility to propel you forward, to attain better engagements, reach out because I'd love to explore working with you. Simply tap the link below to explore more and schedule a time to speak with me. Now, back to the conversation. memorable performances. So I know that in the past, like most artists, there are these memorable moments. It could be the fancy ones in front of the big, crowds, but it could also be the most small crowd ever, or the smallest crowd ever, but it impacted you the most. So can you kind of break down some of those moments?
Yes, I can tell you about a glamorous one, the one in Vienna. Of course, Vienna is like the capital of classical music. And I remember I played there and I read a lot of things about the Vienna audience, that they are very serious, they are very demanding. And I thought, oh, either they hate you or they love you. So I thought, I hope I am in the second group. So when I went into the stage, I remember I had a phone call with my brother who was living in Austria. My brother plays the violin. And I told him, Victor, do you think I should talk to the audience or just be serious, and with the protocol and just play my music? And no, 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 be yourself, because usually I like to talk to the audience. And I speak German because I lived in Germany for 10 years. And when I went there, not only I spoke in German, I made some jokes, I really flow with the audience, with the place, it wasn't at the concert house in Vienna. And in the end, it was, I think, one of the happiest concerts of my career because, not only the people really enjoy the love, they stand up in the end. I played several anchors. It was really a beautiful memory. And then the not so glamorous, it was a little concert in Germany while I was a student in a wine shop that was run by a Greek man who was a poet, everything in Germany, but it was a French shop, French wine shop, but run by a Greek in Germany. So, very cosmopolitan. And I remember when I arrived there, he told me, your artist room, it's going to be the restroom. We have no space here. Actually, the audience is waiting. So actually, I didn't want to go inside the restroom. So I was like in the corridor going to connecting with the restroom and with the shop. And I was sitting there, and I remember all the Germans entering, looking to me. Hello, guten Abend, guten Tag. How are you doing? Yes, yes, I'm about to play. I played the first half. I didn't talk that much. And then in the intermission, an old lady came to me. Please, could you explain a little bit the pieces you are playing? We will love that. And you play very good, but could you? And then I went into the second part of the concert. I started playing, I started talking, and it was like a conversation. It was like playing for friends. And I have played many concerts in Germany in fancy halls, but I think that was one of the most memorable because of the intensity of the applause, the vibrant atmosphere, the warmth of the audience, and they were really like all my friends. By the end of the concert, we had, of course, wine after the concert, and it was an amazing evening.
That's
It was in
awesome.
Cologne. In Cologne, yes.
In Cologne. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's beautiful. I love hearing those stories, and I know our listeners do too, because it sets classical music in a different world than sometimes people anticipate. Sometimes they're always thinking of the Carnegie Halls of the world, not necessarily these unconventional spaces where magical moments still occur with incredible artists. So I love hearing that. If we think about your season right now, we're recording this in February, so we're kind of already over halfway through, but what's been happening this season? Why don't you share with us various projects, performances that you're working on?
Well, I'm very excited to come back to the States for several tours this season. I'm going to be in California, in San Jose with the orchestra, San Jose Symphony. I'm going to be in Arizona and Tucson with the Tucson Guitar Society. I'm going to play also at Puerto Rico at the Pablo Casals Festival. And then I'm going to play as well with the Baltimore Symphony, which I know is one of the major American orchestras. It's going to be my debut. And I read also one of the oldest orchestras in the country. Yes, and next season I'm going to premiere a new guitar concerto, which I'm very excited, in 4 different parts of the world. I cannot tell you yet the name of the composer, but I'm very, very excited because I have already premiered a guitar concerto, but it was only one place in Spain. This is going to be a more international project, and that makes me very, very, very excited as well.
Awesome. It's exciting to see you're performing here in North America. I know this is, especially when you've lived in other parts of the world and haven't performed in North America, not just you, but other artists as well. North America and specifically the US is always one of those markets that everyone is excited to kind of break through. Can you speak to a little bit more about that of where you would like to see your career go in the US market specifically?
Well, I'm very fortunate to have performed several times, I think 4 times at Carnegie Hall. Of course, a dream would be to play one day in the big hall. I know the guitar has not a huge sound, but I play sometimes amplified when I play at big halls. I would love to enter into the major American orchestras. I mean, the big five, and all of that. I think, playing with people like Gustavo Dudamel. Of course, we share the same language. I also even play Venezuelan music from his home country. And now that I'm based in Mexico City, actually, my wife, being Mexican, told me, actually, for artists, you are Spanish. It's a very good idea to be in Mexico because it's a neighbor with the United States. It's super, super, super close. And then you have I mean, from in the media, they are the most important country in all of Latin America. And as well, I'm entering a lot into Brazil. So actually being here, I actually live in front of the new US embassy, which is like the probably now that it's going to be open, I think this year, the biggest U.S. embassy in the world because the U.S. invested over $1,000 million into this embassy. So you can imagine the big project. And I live in, I see from my bathroom and from my bedroom, I see the embassy. So every time I see the embassy, I see, well, I have to play in Chicago. Well, I have to play in LA again. I have to play here, there, Let's Pittsburgh, New York, of course. I love New York, and but several places. I mean, the U.S. is such a huge country with so many states, so many concerts. You have big concert halls, small venues, chamber music halls. You have, I got contacted now by in Washington, a Latin American Ibero. They want to give me some award, then going to Washington. And it's really, really a very fascinating country. I was in Reno, Nevada. I've never been to Nevada. And then because of that, I got an invitation to play at Lake Tahoe. Like many, many different. San Francisco is a city everybody told me I have to discover. It's one of the most fascinating cities in America. So I hope really to be able, because actually every time I play in the States, the audience is so nice with me and I get to talk with all of them and we have such a great time and they love so much music. They love the guitar as well.
How you are thinking about your long-term career goals and how you are thinking about legacy, et cetera. It's kind of a hard question. Some artists, have a really clear vision, others don't. So I'm curious to hear where you kind of fall with all of that.
I play one of the most popular instruments in the world, that also is very present in its electric form, in rock music, acoustic form, in blues, everything. It's really, I mean, and the guitar comes from, it's even older than piano and violin because, I mean, in Spain on the 16th century already, you had the vihuela, then you had the lute, you had the baroque guitar. So it has a lot of history and impact in the world. So having said that, I believe the guitar has the potential to reach a wider audience, and this is something I would love to do. I think I see the guitar as a tool to connect in the future with different worlds. I recently met here in Mexico City Picasso's grandson. Actually, Picasso. I was born in the same city as Picasso in Malaga, and of course, you can imagine, being from Malaga, Picasso is like our hero. He became the greatest artist in the 20th century. And he told me, why don't we do a project where I can paint? Because he's a painter as well. He lives in Barcelona, but he paints all around the world, also in the US. Why don't I paint something and you can play music? These projects like that, I think they are a reason for people to discover the instrument, all the possibilities. And in a way, I can show also classical music. The guitar has a very familiar sound with everyone that is not classical music related. Actually, when they listen to the guitar, is that pop? Is that folk? What is that? But then you start playing. I have even played at Robert Schumann's birthplace in Germany. His transcription by his piece Kinderszenen, no, the childhood scenes, and it worked very much. Actually, the director of the house of the museum told me, why don't you come here and you play also in Leipzig, where he lived with Clara Schumann. And then I was playing suddenly with my guitar coming from Spain next to the bathroom that Schumann used, next to his piano and next to the living room where he probably was having some discussions with Clara Schumann, not only about music, and that was very funny. So in a way, I see the guitar as a tool to connect different arts, different fields, even the sport, even it's or when I play Star Wars, sometimes I remember when I was playing in the States. Some people heard me playing Star Wars, which is my most seen video on YouTube, and they wanted to have me on the radio, very important, like NPR or something, or PBS or whatever. And then it was really, it's a way to open doors and to connect different worlds. But in the end, my only goal doing that is that people have access to culture, to good things, to nurture their souls, to get access to literature, to sport, to anything that can fill the human soul.
Yeah, incredible. Short answers, so kind of whatever comes to your mind first. What's one talent you have that would surprise our listeners?
I have a friend who told me I am Rafipedia instead of Wikipedia. So he told me I can remember all sort of weird things, which I also apply to food, because sometimes I start telling to people, in 2011, I was in the Azores Islands, Portuguese islands, eating that mousse with milk and maracuya and passion. How can you remember that? But I do that. I remember like names of musicians, composer, very, very weird things, opus like that composer wrote that many sonatas. And I don't know, this is something that maybe, my memory, which is actually long term, not short term. So what we are talking today, maybe I might forget tomorrow, but then that helps also to memorize a lot of music, and not only music related. I start talking about different things. I was very good at geography when I was at school, remembering names of cities, capital stuff.
Yeah.
All sort of data. Yes.
Fascinating. If you weren't a musician, what other profession do you think you'd pursue?
Well, since I decided I wanted to be a musician in that first competition when I was 14, I stopped thinking about other. But before that, as a child, there were three things I wanted to be: a gardener, don't ask me why; a bread maker, I love bread, but I didn't know how hard it is; and either a golf, tennis, or football, soccer player. Those three. But it's pretty much related to gardens, no? Golf, garden, bread, good life.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And last question, what does success mean to you?
Success means when I'm able to inspire other people in no matter which way, but just to inspire them.